What's up, family? Welcome to another episode of Men versus Ego, episode 25, Accepting Change for Growth. Where can I start? I met this great man a couple months ago. We went to one of the hardest army schools that there is. And if you know, you know. And we helped each other out. We pushed through a lot of late nights, burning the midnight oil. But it was a it was almost like a series of fortunate events that I got to meet him and I got to talk to him. And we've been talking about making a podcast episode for a while and him sharing his growth journey. And today is accepting change. And without further ado, Mr. Jason Price, take it away, bro.
Hey, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come on your podcast. I know we kind of scheduled this super last minute, but you're a busy man. Put me in. Appreciate that. So I've been doing this for about 8 years. This change, this topic is really important to me because I spent a lot of time like stagnant. I spent a lot of time getting passed up for promotions and stuff because I didn't do what I wanted to do because I was so stuck on like being happy in the moment instead of taking that little bit of uncomfortability and going and doing these extra things. So that school we went to was like the first step of me getting out of my comfort zone. And I think it was from like one extreme to the other, but still it was a super great experience. I got to meet a lot of good people. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm ready.
Yeah,
Let's roll
right
into this.
on,
Let's
man.
roll into it.
Yeah, yeah, no worries, man. Thank you for sharing your introduction there, man. I would say that that school definitely gave us that camaraderie that we needed to all like help each other out any way we could, a little bit here, a little bit there. Accepting change. I mean, let's start with the relatable truth. Why do we say we want growth but resist everything that requires change? What do you think?
So I would think it's easy to be stagnant. Like it requires a lot of discipline to understand that you need to change and then to want to change. But then it also comes with the fact that you have to go out and find a new opportunity. And there's a lot of things that go into it, like the comfortability of like routine, like being scared to go put yourself out there for a new experience or a new type of event. But our humans are creatures of habit. So once we get into that rhythm, we don't like deviating to the left and right of that.
Yeah, man. I think that's why change sometimes is so hard too. If we know we have a bad habit and it's affecting the people around us, it's like, why do I have to change sometimes? It's like, why can't you change? Why can't you conform? But honestly, it takes a lot of courage and intestinal fortitude to, like you said, stop being stagnant and get up and make that change. Not everybody has the capacity to like switch their fingers like Thanos and freaking change it up like that, man. So it does take some time to make that change. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. We are in a very lucky situation with our job that like if we want to change, we can apply for a school or apply to go somewhere else. And then it's that quick moment, that Thanos snap that you're talking about of decision making, and then we're locked into that path. And it takes a whole lot more effort to get out of that path than it does to stay into it.
Speaking like a freaking professor of change yourself, man. And I like to add to that. Obviously, you're a little bit younger than me, man, but the things that you've been through has shown you, like, for example, what change can bring in a positive light. And I know that you come from the Midwest like myself, and that change definitely made a positive impact in your life from what I remember. And I'm just so happy that you're here, man, again, and sharing your experiences. So definitely, what about growth? Does growth equal change? And does ego have anything to do with it? No pun intended on the podcast name.
Excuse me. So I would say growth doesn't always necessarily equal change. While a lot of times they do go hand in hand, there could be some times where just the situation is not good for you. So you need the change so you can grow. I
Mm,
wouldn't say that they have to be, you grow and then you change, or you change and then you grow.
okay.
And then the ego, it can, yeah. I would think ego could have a huge impact on like your resistance to change, especially if you just don't want to see like the situation that you're currently in is not good for you.
Yeah, because you're used to it, right? Yeah, I think your upbringing and the people you associate yourself with. And some people I see, man, to be honest with you, there's 40-year-old people, 40 plus year old people that I've met in my life that act like they're teenagers, maybe early 20s, and they don't have that mindset yet. And you're like, what? And then I meet people like you, and you're locked in, bro. And you're mindful of what you say, your surroundings, and you're aware. And like you said, you noticed that you were stagnant and you
Yes.
want to change. But I have met people in my lifetime, again, not to bash on them, but it's just like, man, what are we doing? How many times do you have to hit yourself in the in on the door, metaphorically speaking, right? To wake up and be like, "Yo, what am I doing? I need to change, man." So yeah, man, I think you made a good point on both growth and ego. And I would say ego is like a sneaky, cunning little other half of your soul, your body, your mental brain that's like doesn't like that change because it likes sitting on top of the throne. And you have to be very careful sometimes not to, I would say, lack of better words, walk on eggshells with certain people. Because as soon as you mention, oh, maybe we should do it like that, maybe we should do it like this, they're like, no, absolutely not. I've done it like this plenty of times. It worked out just before. But your idea, your change to a certain little line or a certain little the way we do things could help or be beneficial. So would you give me this example like if that's happened to you before?
Yeah, I'm gonna kinda single out a couple of things that you said and try to attack them one by one. But, yeah, I've definitely worked with people where it's my way or the highway, and it's very frustrating because you sometimes you're not entirely sure if something is gonna work. So it's nice to be with old reliable, but if you do not give people, especially people subordinate to you, the opportunity to make that mistake, to grow a little bit, then you're just contributing to them being stagnant and they're being exactly like you. We're like, this is the way we always done it. This is the way we're gonna do it because X, Y, and Z, and you just fall back into that habit, which could also bleed into, like, other aspects of your life. Because if you start getting used to, like, at your work, you're like, "This is the habit, we come in, we do this every single day." You're probably gonna start falling into a similar habit at home, and then before you know it, like, your whole day, like, nothing's unique to you anymore because 'cause you're just doing the same thing day in, day out. Like, "Oh, it's Monday, I have to do this, 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 and this."
Man, bro, like, yes, 100%, man. I'm with you on that one. And it's crazy because we don't want to see our subordinates fail, especially we're the ones in charge. There's a saying that your subordinates are a direct reflection of their leadership. Have you heard that before? And so if we let them fail, it's like, oh well, we failed them. How you brought up a good point. Sometimes we have to let them fail. We have to let them like learn, and we don't want to be a devour. The Dr. Jordan Peterson mentions about being a devouring mother, so nurturing that when we do everything for our kids or our spouse or our significant other, everything. And something happens, we break up or they move to a different place. Now they don't know what to do. They're like, well, so and so used to do this for me all the time. I think that's part of change too, a part of growth to be like, okay, look, I done this for you. It's time to I'll teach you, but it's time for you to learn. It's time for you to change because I'm not always going to be there for you. So when you said that, it kind of clicked something in my head, man. And I appreciate that. Yeah, no, definitely. Anything else you want to add before we move on to the next subject?
Uh, I did wanna talk briefly about the like, giving your ego the throne, but I will say that if you let your ego drive the ship, you're not gonna have a very fulfilling life. It's not really in line with what the topic we have today, but I just wanna throw a little 2 cents in there 'cause I
Maybe,
really like that analogy.
yeah, man, maybe for another time, there's always another time to talk about the ego and its cunning ways of coming up and taking control of what possibly could be the best change for everybody, even to include yourself. Well, mainly yourself, because this is about change, right? Accepting the change. The ego doesn't like change, man. Let's see here. The way that we resist change, can you give us an example? Is it fear of losing control, looking weak, or just not knowing what's on the other side of that change? What do you think people avoid change, man?
I think it's a multifaceted thing, but if I had to break it down to just a handful of things, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's like the fear of the unknown, the uncomfortableness of breaking out of your routine, even sometimes like stigma. Like, what are other people gonna think about me if I do this? So it's a it depends on the person, but there's a lot of things that could and could not be taken into consideration when it comes to, like, people trying to go out and, like, change aspects of their lives.
100%, man. And maybe I've been in situations before where people did everything else that the other person wanted to. They changed their habits, they changed their hair color, they changed the way they look, they changed the way they eat, they changed, yes, even religion. And like I said, they either separate or they're not friends with that person anymore. They broke up, they got divorced, or they just got separated by the cosmos, right? And now they're like, I lost myself because I was changing so much for a person to be accepted that now they're like, "Nah, I'm not gonna change. You have to change. You change." And it sucks because we have to be very discernment on who we change for. We can't change for everybody. If we know that this is just an example, right? Our thing is to go to the gym, don't drink alcohol, go to church, study, and all of a sudden some person, some love interest or some colleague or your friends, your peers, they're like, "Hey, come on, let's go out here, let's go drink, let's go party." And you're like, "Oh, man," and then peer pressure sets in and you're like, "Man, I just want to fit in. Okay, I'll go this one time." And then it takes you out of your routine and you become a change. And all for what, man? Right? It's almost like they left you stranded. They lured you out of your comfort zone of what you were locked in. And I can see why people can be like, well, that's a double-edged sword, right? So I can see what you mean about what you said earlier, man. Sometimes people are scared of change.
Yeah, and, change doesn't always have to be good. Is that you definitely could change for the worse. So it's good to or it's important that you're able to, like, differentiate, like, if I make this change in my life, will it be better or be worse for me?
Man, can you say that one more time, man? Because that was pretty deep right there. Because I think people they think that change right away. I'm gonna change the way I look. I'm gonna change smoking to vaping, and I'm gonna change I don't know this alcohol for this lesser alcohol. Or can you say that one more time, man? That was pretty deep.
I'm just saying because like, this could also be, like, another reason why people don't wanna change is they don't know the impact it's gonna have on their lives, like, whether it be a positive or a negative impact, and, like, change is just doing one thing and then not doing that thing to do something else, in
100%,
layman's
bro.
terms. So, like,
Man,
lot of there's a lot of variables that could come into it where you think you're doing the right thing, and then you end up putting yourself in a worse situation.
bro. To quote, to paraphrase and slash quote Marcus Aurelius, which is one of my favorite, and I mention him all the time, one of my favorite Stoic slash emperors of the back in the day in Rome. He said somewhere along the like, what better way than what you have chosen, whatever choice you made, to fulfill your life's goal? So if you choose, right, change like for a positive or change for a negative, what better way for it to serve your life and grow from that than by your own free will of choice? And I'll find the quote later and I'll put it up. But it's something like that, man. So what you're basically you're kind of saying what a 2,000-year-old plus person said back in the day, bro. So here we are, 2026, speaking all philosophical and stoic. And man, I'm just happy, man. I'm happy that you mentioned something like that. So it's pretty cool, man.
Here being a young scholar.
Yeah, literally, man, a young scholar. And going back to the young scholar, I know it's kinda like a funny thing you mentioned. I don't think age defines wisdom. I think wisdom comes to those who seek it, not necessarily by age. Because, like I mentioned before, bro, I met 40-year-olds plus people that still act like they're teenagers, man. They're reckless, they're in and out of jail, their lives in shambles, and these are all for the choices that they made, the changes that they never wanted to make, or the changes that they let by the wayside. And so this is why sometimes, like you said, changes can be positive and change can be negative. What change can be negative, do you think, from seeing outside in?
Well, I think you already gave, like, a really good example. It's like you had somebody that, going to the gym, they don't drink, so it seems like that individual would like to have a healthy lifestyle that focuses on, you know, physical, mental, emotional health, and then they surround themselves with people that don't share the same goals and aspirations that person does. So they're like, "Hey, let's go drink. Let's go out to the bar. Let's get wasted." This, that, and the third. and then I'll do it just once, and then the peer pressure sets in, and once they get you once, they know they're gonna keep being able to get you. So it turns into like, "Oh, well, I'll just skip the gym this day so I can go drinking with my buddies." And then it turns into 2 days, 3 days, then you know you're not going to the gym at all.
Yeah, I think the biggest change starts with oneself, man. And would you like to elaborate how hard we were locked in during our school back in October to mid-December? How many times did we avoid like going out? We were just locked in 2, 3, 4 in the morning, just locked in studying, bro. And yeah, we could have gone out, right? We could have gone drinking on a bar hopping or clubbing or going out, just having a good old time. But the ones who stayed locked in, correct me if I'm wrong, did it show?
100% it showed. But, I do wanna so that we were called the boring class because we didn't do none of that, but I feel like we had a higher percent pass rate from our class and the class before us because we were having that positive influence on each other. We were meeting up in areas to where even if you wanted to drink a little bit, you would be fine, like, and we can keep you on topic. We could do all the studying, we can get ready, and it they were late nights. It was a lot more late nights than I was comfortable with. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the pictures. I had a lot no, I was local to the school, so I had a lot of people take pictures of me. I looked rough. Like, there was no, like, healthy habits being formed there. It was stay up till, like, 1 or 2 in the morning, possibly even later, wake up at 7, get ready for class to go do it all again. So you're operating on, like, 3 to 4 hours of sleep, but you need to do that in order to pass the class. So we
Yes.
all we were all sitting there having, like we're embracing the suck together, and some
100%.
people needed a little bit of alcohol to embrace the suck, and some people didn't, but we did it in a way that, like, even if you had to drink, you weren't getting off topic.
Yeah, 100%, man. Man, I tell you right now, looking back at it, looking back on hindsight, I wouldn't trade those late nights for nothing, man, because it honestly it built a little community where I feel like I can reach out to you if I have a question that I don't know, maybe you do, or reach out to one of our other colleagues and do the same thing. So I'm very appreciative of that time that we spent together in that school. Speaking of that time, would you say that change to the people who were married or in relationships affected them? Because now they had to change their whole schedule because they had to be locked in. And for a person who is either married or in a relationship, that takes a lot of time away from their loved ones. It I can speak from personal experience. It affected me, man. I'm gonna be honest, it affected me, and I can just imagine if it affected other people. But when you say that's like a collateral of the change that we had to make?
I would say definitely the environment they put us in was beneficial to make that change because a lot of people came from not the location we were at, like, they weren't local to the school. Yeah, and I know Dixon, he wasn't local, but every chance he got, he was trying to make it work. So I know it was a big thing, but at the end of the day, he got it.
He did. He got it. And, man, I tell you what, adversity made us so resistant to wanting to fail, man. It's almost like I don't know if you wanna elaborate on your experience because I know your back was against the wall a couple times, man. And you had to change, like, how did like you said, you were tired, man, and you said you got pictures and everything, but there was a time where you had to be like, "Okay, I can't go out and drink a 1 or 2 brewskis. I have to, like, focus on this. I need to go home and study, 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 study to wake up in the morning and take that test again." How did that change feel for you at that time? Because a lot of us had, like, two chances still, and you were down to, like, maybe 1, bro.
Yeah, so I got down to the wire, like, I was close to getting cut from the course, especially on the last one, but it was very rough mentally because it was almost like in my head, I was making the plan of, like, what am I gonna do when I fail? So I was, like, planning for failure, but this is this is kinda like my nerdy side. There's an anime that I really like that came out, roughly around the time that we were in school together. It was called Freeman's Beyond Journey's End, and there's a character in there, and his name's Stark. He's a warrior. He's a frontliner, and every time he gets knocked down, it's like this big thing to where the enemy thinks they win, and then he just stands back up, and that's like what I was trying to embody. He's like, don't plan for failure. He's like, up until the very last moment, until they tell me that I'm cut from the course, I'm gonna stand back up.
Yeah, man, and you did.
I did.
You made literally, you made that change, whatever little tweak you had to make to your study habits or who you study with or what, study material that you had to make that little change, and a lot of people didn't show up to our remember, we had study halls, and
Did.
a lot of people didn't wanna show up to study halls because they felt like it was a waste of time, and they studied better by themselves. But statistically, if we were talking facts, the people who stayed in those study halls, we passed. We passed, man. And I know that your adversity and your challenge that you had against the wall made you feel like more. What is that? What is that quote? Pressure makes diamonds, bro. You shined. You shined, bro. You knew that you had one foot in, one foot out, and whichever way you tilt could be the deciding factor for you passing or not. I'm so happy you passed, bro. All right.
'Cause I would if I didn't pass, I wouldn't have y'all back. Been a one
Aw,
and done
dude.
for me. I didn't have that in me.
Speaking from a person who's been there twice and passed the second time, man, I know exactly how you feel. I know that it's a long course. It's 10 weeks and it's not for the faint of heart. It's not I wouldn't say it's physically demanding. I would say it's more mental demanding. But remembering a little bit here, a little bit there about this and that and a third, it takes a lot of brain power, bro. What about the cost of not changing? That's a good one. The cost of not changing. What do you think?
I would say stagnation. We're kinda, like, circling back to some things I already said before, but that's good. So, like, stagnation, especially in, like, our line of work, if you are content with where you're at, you're gonna get passed up. You're not gonna get promoted, you're not gonna get looked at for these schools. Like, for me, I wasn't hard slotted for the school we went to. Like, I was a walk-on. I don't know if you remember that because
I
it
do
felt
remember
so
that. I do.
natural with me being there after a little bit, but I was a walk-on, and what happened is that my boss was like, "Hey, you wanted to go to this school?" And I was like, "Yeah." And typically, the school has the pre-course attached to it,
Yes.
but I didn't get that because they were like, "Alright, head to this building on Tuesday, you're going to the course." So it was like thrown into the water, sink or swim, but if I wouldn't have said yes, think about, like, if I didn't put myself out there, if I wasn't in my I want to better myself. I want to get more schools to better myself at my job. Like I just want to be like a well-rounded, like intelligent individual when it comes to like doing my job. If I wouldn't have said yes, the cost of change or the cost of not changing would have been those 10 weeks that we shared. Would have been all those memories. So it's like the cost of not changing could be like very big because I wouldn't already said it because I wouldn't change some of those memories for anything. I mean, I wish I would have got more sleep, but
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. You mentioned stagnation. Maybe I would like to go a little bit more away from the work side and maybe personal life. If we don't change, man, if we are like hard-headed and dead set on not changing, and if we're married or in a relationship, bro, what are we doing? I think us as human beings, we need to grow. There has to be some kind of growth in our life in order for us to better ourselves. And sometimes if we have a partner or significant other and we see things that we do that are affecting them and we don't want to change, then it's better to let them go and or change. But if you're being like, "No, I'm not changing. I'm not." No, absolutely not. If you have to adapt to me. And I think that's where the ego comes in to where it's like, or it depends on the situation, man. It's a very deep topic, but in a nutshell, change has to happen. And if we don't accept it, we stay stagnant. We possibly lose people, we lose things, we lose money, and we end up regretting not taking that chance, that school chance that you just told me about. You know that leap of faith, and not to get spiritual in it, but as you know, I don't know if I told you, but I used to be into tarot, and the tarot card of the Fool. It's called the Fool for a reason. It's that leap of faith that people take in order to possibly find out if that change is for the better or for the worst. I guess it depends on how you look at it. And I think that you took that leap of faith, man, and taking that last minute, hey, you're going to this school, not being prepared, like you said, and just freaking fighting tooth and nail, man. Every chance you got, study hall, staying up till two, 3, sometimes 4 in the morning. Man, it was exhausting, but Yeah, man. 100% agree. Anything else you want to add before we move on to the next subject on that one?
No, I feel like I really enjoyed you bringing it to the personal life. I just have a lot more work experience than I do in my like changing my personal life. I am where I'm at,
Yeah, man.
but I do like that. It brings a lot more well-roundedness into
Yeah,
like
man.
the individual.
And I tell people all the time, like this podcast I decided to make, I learn more from the people that I speak with than my own self reading books or listening to YouTube, other YouTube videos. Like I learn from people just like you, man. And I know that like we said we were going to do a podcast episode together in the future. And we basically manifested that right now, man. And I know our time zones are different, but that never stopped anybody. I think if you have a dream and you see it, go for it, bro, because ain't nobody gonna tell you to push you or motivate you but yourself. And you're doing great, man. I couldn't be proud of you. I know that we spoke a little bit about before the podcast, we spoke a little bit about your personal life and what you're doing now and how you're teaching another younger generation the right thing to do and learning the complexities of taking care of your subordinates and this and that and the thirds. No, hats off to you, bro. And to be honest, thanks for reaching out too. Appreciate
Oh
it.
yeah, I don't know if you were just throwing out the podcast thing as like a little, "Oh, yeah, come be on the podcast," but I took that shit. Excuse me, like
You're fine, man.
you s- you said it, and I was like, I've never been on a podcast before. It's like, let me let me try to strong arm into picking a topic that I know a lot about, that I read a lot of books about, so I can sound really smart.
Yeah, yeah. And here, like maybe in 5 minutes, it's about that time. I'm excited to hear what book recommendation you have, man. But I hear you, bro. And to our last 5 minutes here, what does accepting change look like in a nutshell to you?
Accepting change. I'm gonna start, doing some foreshadowing for the book I'm gonna recommend. But in the book, there is cheese, and the cheese supplies is like dwindling. So like accepting change would be to realize that where you're at now may not be where you want to be in like let's say a year from now, a week, month, any amount of time frame you want to put. Accepting change is like being able to first of all identify where you need to change, whether it be, you know, personally, whether it be at your job, uh, like other events that you're a part in, and then just taking that leap of faith because it's all unknown. You won't know until you're on the other side of it what the opportunity cost or like what what you're gonna miss out on until you're there. Like I spoke about it a little bit when we were talking about the course, but if I wouldn't have gone to the course and I wouldn't have had those 10 weeks, I feel like I changed a lot in those 10 weeks. So I feel like that little bump I had, because I also talked about it earlier, where it's like in the profession that we're in, change it's like that. You just say you want to do it, and then once it's on paper and you got it on paper, you're good. You're going to that thing. So I feel like if you're never gonna know exactly what the change is, like the impact it's gonna have on your life until you're on the other side of it.
Absolutely. And that's why you take that leap of faith, man. A lot of people rather stay where they're comfortable, where they know they can navigate than going up to the next evolution in their life or their next job or their next opportunity because they don't know what's on the other side. They rather stay where they want, where they're comfortable, but there's no room there. You already grew what you needed to grow there. So why not move to the next step and challenge yourself? Because there's a song by Tim McGraw. It's called "Live Like You Were Dying," something like that, and he speaks basically like what would you do if you had one week to live here, right? What would you do if you had a couple days that you found out, a couple months that you found out that you had a terminal illness? Would you live finally? Would you let your ego go and actually go do that go do that sky jumping that you want to do, go get that tattoo that you always wanted, or whatever the case may be, right? But I hear you, man. And speaking of that book, would you care to tell us now that we're getting closer on time, what that book recommendation is, bro?
Yeah, I got it. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? So it's
What's up?
a book about 4 individuals that are in some way, shape, or another the same size as rats or mice, in a maze, and they look for cheese. The cheese, in this sense, is physical, but obviously you can draw the parallel to like the cheese is success. So once you find the cheese, once you start seeing success in your life, it's so easy to just build up your whole life around it. And there's two characters in the book. They realize that the success or the cheese is starting to dwindle. So they jump ship. They go find new cheese or new success. And then the rest of the book is about the other two individuals that stay behind and like their thought process, like why they're resistant to change. And I don't want to talk too much about it. It's a very short read. So I already went over like half the story and just the very small stuff that I said about it, but it's a really good book. It's helped me a lot, like decide to start making those leap of faith.
That's good, man. That's good. That's that personal growth that we're talking about. But who's the author?
It's Spencer Johnson.
Okay.
He
Okay.
has a medical doctorate.
Nice. Nice. And people probably get confused. It's like almost sounds like a children's book, but it's not, right?
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one of the first things I saw, like, I thought of because the one I have on my table right now is a lot more, like, professional looking, but, like, when I received a paperback copy, and it was very cartoonish, so I was like, "Did you give me a child's book? Do you think I can't read?" But it was a good laugh.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for that inspiring book recommendation that you gave us. I tell you what, man, give me like 2 months so my Audible account can get up those free credits, and I'll download it and I'll listen to it. I just finished listening to one of my other guest books on here. Shout out to Miss Jillian. She recommended this is more of a for relationships and past lives, but it's called Many Lives, Many Masters. And I just great. It's a short read too. Great book, man. Great book. I highly recommend that one. But I'll read that one and I'll let you know how it benefited me and what little grains of wisdom I got from it, dude. Appreciate your sharing your book, dude. Thank you. My book, I think I shared this before, but honestly, I read this maybe twice, and it's by Ryan Holiday, and it's called The Obstacle is the Way. And it shows you that every obstacle in your life is meant to be there for a reason. And it's your job to either find a way around it or go through it. Either way, that obstacle is going to help you. Maybe not at that time. It's not how we think, but what change can we get from that obstacle? If, for example, it's not from the book, but for example, if we know that our eating habits are not beneficial to our body and could cause diabetes, diabetes is the eating habits is the obstacle. And what change can we do to go around it? Well, maybe self-love and gym and change your eating habits, right? So kind of like that. And it's a book for the bedside of every leader in the world. It's a quote from Robert Greene, who also wrote The 48 Laws of Power, which book I quote a lot in this podcast, but yeah, Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Well, what else, man? What last minute free chicken you want to give to the audience before we say our goodbyes and you do your thing over there? Any last remarks?
Say I'm definitely gonna check that book out, but that book seems very tailored picked for the conversation because what if you are changing, there's gonna be obstacles, whether it be the things that we already talked about, like the fear of changing, your stigma, whatever would stop you from changing. So I feel like that was very on the nose pick. I'm gonna check that out. The obstacles away,
Yeah,
100%.
the obstacle. Yeah. So likewise, man. Who moved my cheese? That's gonna be on my Audible. Give me 2 months. Like I gave you my word. I'll listen to it and I'll let you know, man. Jason, it has been a pleasure to have you on this podcast, brother. I am so happy you reached out. I look forward to having you in future podcasts too, man. Maybe after you read the book or another book recommendation you might have, another topic for growth. And yeah, man.
I I
Uh,
do I do have another book that I'm reading right now,
oh, what's up?
but so it's called Man's Search for Meaning.
I just downloaded that book. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I have not read it yet. Is it a black cover?
I don't know. I got I'm more of a physical book kind of guy, so I have
Okay.
the what you call it.
Yeah.
But I'm about where's my bookmark? Yeah, I'm about 50 pages in, and so far it's been a very phenomenal read. So
That's
maybe
on my
foreshadowing the next podcast.
Yeah, man, that's on my queue. I kid you not. I downloaded maybe like 2 weeks ago, but I'm currently reading another book right now, Atomic Habits. and I'm sure people heard of it before, but that's gonna be on my queue. That's on my queue right now, and then I'll put that "Who Moved My Cheese" as well. I got nothing else, man. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate your time, and, nah, man, reach out whenever, brother. Take
Yeah,
care of
for
yourself,
sure.
man.
Yeah, thank you
Peace
for
out.
having me.